What's up, guys? Chimp here with another quick market update. And it's the weekend, and we've seen another pop yesterday or so with Bitcoin pumping basically to 119K. And the question is, what's next? What's going on? And let's take a look at some of the data that we've been looking at and see if we can piece something together. So first, let's just start by looking at global open interest again. It's pumped. It's remained elevated. It's remained above 100 billion. Again, I still think there's a lot of leverage in the market that is huntable here. Has it been hunted to date? Not particularly. Like it got hunted to 112. Basically, what it seems like to me here is the market sort of hit max capacity in terms of how much leverage it could sustain, right? Like apes got max long, the market flushed that out, and then there was like a period of people not really leveraging, and then the moment Bitcoin sort of broke out of 116, the leverage started to ramp up again. And so to me, like, again, typically when I've seen something like this, it makes me lean bearish, but who knows, right? Like maybe bulls continue to push the leverage higher. So the market is quite leveraged. There's no question about that. And for now, it's being sustained by like a combination of like bulls being flush with cash and sellers not wanting to particularly sell, especially when prices are elevated. At the tops, like at tops in general, and I believe this is like a top. This is in the area of a top. Others would obviously disagree. At tops in general, you're hard pressed to find sellers, and like people have no reason to sell and every reason to buy, and money is piling in and piling in and piling in. And at the lows, right? Like if we look at the 16K lows, everyone has every reason to sell. FTX is blowing up. The Fed is hiking rates. The stock market's down. Why would you buy Bitcoin at 16? Like it's going to 12, it's going to 9, it's going to 7, right? Like I remember someone told me they have resting bids at 9K when we would dump to 16. So to me, like when I piece everything together, when I look at the sentiment, when I look at the leverage, how hard people are re-leveraging, when I look at altcoins, when I look at everything as a package, it looks to me like, hey, this is looking a little bit toppy. One thing I wanted to talk about too now is this strike thing, and I had to pause the recording and just restarted it. So price has been going up. I think this is going to be a big week to understand what's going on in terms of Saylor's capacity. And I know he said he can issue up to $4.2 billion worth of stretch. Seems like he has because he's tweeting about stretch. He's posting that he's bought. Let's see how much he bought, right? I think it'll be very interesting. Like, was he able to raise that much? Was he able to raise up anything close to 4 billion, or is it like the other preferreds where he's maybe bought like $100 million worth of Bitcoin? The issue with the capital structure, and people can go and look at the numbers, like between converts and preferreds, he has like 14 billion in debt that comes before the MSTR stock, right? So like probably a fair value for MSTR is like half of what it is right now. But the man's still doing his financial engineering. I think he's like basically at the tail end. And all these other treasury companies, like you don't see Bitcoin treasury companies anymore, right? Because what's the upside for these places? We'll see what Metaplanet says in terms of how much they bought this week. But for the most part, these buyers are exhausted. You might have Saylor buying. Like, let's see how much he bought with Stretch. I'll update that, tomorrow once that number comes out. But for the most part, like the Bitcoin centric demand or Bitcoin centric bid is slowing down, and that's why you see like coins like ETH or ETH in particular, like basically pumping. So, and one other thing I want to talk about with Bitcoin in particular here is the following. Take a look at some of the volumes. Like volume since we pumped here has been trending lower. Now, you could say like, hey, sellers are sort of exhausted, whatever, but it doesn't seem like there's like a steady stream of buyers per se either, which makes sense. Like you kind of exhausted a lot of the treasury bid. So like when I think about Bitcoin here and who's left to buy, so the treasury bid's basically exhausted. The ETFs are sort of up in the air. That being said, like as long as stocks are up only, like you probably have a skew towards more inflows on the ETF. But for the most part, like the Bitcoin centric bid is like more exhausted, and you could see it, right? Like people are getting bored, people are playing these alts. And just go back historically again. You can do it yourself, right? Whenever altcoins have extended periods of upside, like it's been the precursor to a big sell-off. And that's what we're seeing right now. Now, it makes a lot of sense what we're seeing, which is ETH and the ETH ecosystem, which has been like freed of parasites and all these like bottom sellers that's pumping harder, and ecosystems like Solana are super underperforming. And it makes sense, right? Like with something like Sol, you literally have Trump grifting on Sol, right? This guy's extracting like so much money out of that ecosystem. Not just him, right? But he's just one example. Trump, Pump Fund, etc. Like all these different places are basically like parasitic, extractionary forces on this market. And so it makes sense. Like the strongest pockets, ETH and ETH related stuff. The weakest pocket is the one that's been hit by the parasites, aka Solana. So ultimately, we'll see what happens. Just want to show also one thing. This is like the more bullish side of things, which is that stablecoin supply has basically been up only since Trump got elected, right? It was 173 billion in circulation. Now it's 270 billion. So clearly a lot of money has come in. And I mean, that is reflected by higher prices. There's no doubt about it. Like prices are higher. Again, the question to me is like, with the leverage in the ecosystem, with the Bitcoin treasury slowing down, we'll see the other treasuries slow down soon too, right? Like that's just the name of the game. With alts going crazy, with sentiment at record levels, like what's the upside here if you're a Bitcoin bull? Like I just don't particularly see it. Obviously, we'll see what time says, but I figured to record a quick video. Let's go over the markets briefly, and let's see what the markets do in the next few days, and I'll post another update. So appreciate it, guys, and until next time, take care.